So we spoke about how we got into the industry. We've been happy that we're in the industry, but it's probably not all been hunky-dory. So there must have been some struggles that you dealt with, particularly struggles as women.
So I don't find being a woman in the property industry challenging. But what I do find challenging is being a mother and dealing with motherhood and a full-time career. I found that quite difficult, and you're often having to pull and stretch and prioritize as you go. So that is a little bit more difficult because I'm a woman.
And for those who don't have children, there must still be struggles.
Yeah, so it's difficult. Some people don't take you seriously because you're a woman, and now I find myself in a lot of meetings. I'll be not only the only woman, maybe the only black person. So now it's just like a double whammy. Then I have to prove myself and then just validate why I'm there in the first place. Whereas everyone else was there, just showed up, and then you believe them immediately. So that's just one thing that I've noticed. I understand your concerns, because when lockdown happened, I was so glad I didn't have children. Because I can't imagine having to be doing what we're doing full time, as a landlord, trying to figure out, okay, now you need to get sanitizer for everything and then fumigate everything and then do all. So we worked until 7 o'clock at night, and then if my child was here, my child wouldn't understand, Mommy, why aren't you giving me attention? How come, why are you ignoring me? Why are you telling me to go away all the time? So I can just imagine how hard that must be. Because Daddy will be there, but Daddy's fine.
Yeah, 100% right. Agreed. I mean, I think I'm the only one still. Rowena, your child is old enough now, so he can fend for himself. But yeah, it's tough, and I suppose it's balancing that, and especially during COVID, our kids struggled, with their mental health. And it's so you're not only dealing with your own mental health, it's that of your children as well, and making sure they're happy in a secure environment. And it's also, for me, it's the guilt that goes along with it. So things that I potentially miss. So I can't just hop on a plane like my husband does every week. I have to plan it and then say, right, I'm away in 2 weeks' time for these days. And then I get highly irritated when he then still tells me, oh, well, he's also going to be away then. And that's where support system is so important. And my support system, women. Yeah. My mom, au pair, friends. And I suppose, and that's what makes us so strong, because we do stand together to help one another where we need to.
And Rowena, you were a single mom for a big part of your time in the property career.
Yeah.
Or in the property world.
That brings a special kind of torture with it. But yeah, I'm on the other side of that now. And I really hear what you're saying about being black, female, and young. Walking into a boardroom and offering something, or just yourself and what you're bringing. I found that all those struggles have faded with age, because now when I walk into a room, people understand who I am, and they know what I've done, and have seen the results of someone, who has really been, well, I suppose stuck to a guns, or just honed her craft over the years. But struggles, definitely. Today I see young women struggling to be recognized in this industry. Builders have their own special brand of disregard for females. And I still want to meet a female builder, that actually will listen to me and able to offer me a good price, because those are, that's also something else. But in the property industry, my struggles, basically not so much now.
Well, Tamsyn, you're probably at that beginning stages of trying to establish yourself, and?
So if I can just touch on what Karen had mentioned briefly there, from my limited experience, when I walked into the office and I really got to know everyone, in my environment there are a lot of really awesome women in the company, and what was nice to see, despite the rampant effects of COVID, that flexible working I can see has made a monumental difference for a lot of the women in my company, because they can come in a little bit later because they're going to work from home while they're dropping their kids off for school, or they can leave a little bit earlier to be there for them and then work a little bit later into the night. And there's those work from home days, and it's just whether that's going to continue, as the call to come back to the office continues. But we'll see about that. But I think that's been a huge change that I often hear discussed around the lunch table. But the thing that I noticed the most is I went to a broker show day, and I was there the entire day, and I was the only woman.
Yeah.
I never clapped eyes on anyone else, and I didn't feel intimidated, but already for my age I was like, oh, I'm so young, so they're really going to be like, is she just a little student who's in like following and interning? Am I going to be taken seriously? So it was from that side, being young, but then also I could definitely feel that I wasn't as included in some conversations as I maybe would have been.
And Lara, your role is one where you almost senior to a lot of the broker people that you deal with. How do they treat you? Because you deal with a lot of outside brokers and you're the owner rep.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. I mean, our last 5 deals, July, August, have all been with women. Which I was actually like, wow, this is actually quite a first. Good. I felt like I need to send an email out and actually like highlight it. It was actually, and to some point, first deals with these ladies that have actually been in the industry for ages, are probably specialists in the area and kind of the office side. And it was so nice to now get the deal across the line, have the tenants all moving in, and then to actually like sit back and say, okay, it's like a noticeable thing.
That's fine.
But I think from my experience, I've been unlisted, private portfolio, specialised on the industrial logistics sector. And I've really got quite a well-rounded experience within the industry that a lot of brokers, I feel, sometimes even call me and say, what do you think on this? They might not give me the specifications, but I can give them some different angles, even though may not be to our benefit. They're dealing with something else. But I'm always willing to help, because they can get a deal across the line, it takes space off the markets, and ultimately it's better for everyone. So I think that they are quite forthcoming and want to try and make deals work, and maybe based off of that they approach me slightly differently. But I think I've only ever had it once where I had never met the person before. And he's like, are they coming to meet Lara? Can I please get a cup of tea? So I'm like, okay, sure. We went and got the tea, took him through to the boardroom. I'm like, okay, right, let's talk logistics. Yeah, he was so funny.
And sometimes perhaps being underestimated gives one an edge.
Yes,
isn't it?
absolutely.
Yes.
But if I understand you correct, if I understand all of you correctly, it's about getting to be known or understood that you have a skill, that it's a skill that you bring to the table, and once people understand that, then it makes it a lot easier.
And again, I think it is, and as Rowena said, the reason why you said you don't really care as you get older is because you've got the confidence. You've had to prove yourself, but you now have the confidence. And I think that is a huge challenge for a lot of women, and not just in property, in the corporate world. We don't have the confidence to sit at the table. I'm not here to make tea or take the minutes. I'm sitting at the table, so move up, and I also have a voice. And it's that confidence that is really hard in the beginning. And I suppose it comes from the way we were raised as well. Just, suck it up and deal with it. And so it's not just a property issue. I think it's a general issue in the corporate world.
I think maybe to also raise your voice. Because I remember back when I first started, someone said, okay, this is how we're going to structure this whole deal. And I was like, no, but I think I've got an idea. Why don't we try this? And he was like quite taken aback. And he's like, no, that's a good idea. And we tried it a different way. But if you don't raise your voice and at least put your hats in the game, no one will know.
Yeah.
But is one of the problems sometimes for women not that the characteristics that make a man be that man is seen differently for a woman? So a man who is assertive, the woman who is assertive is a bit of a bossy boots.
Which Wayne calls me all the time.
But sometimes there's truth to assertive.
So yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's when, if we are outspoken, then we are seen. I mean, I still get it, you know, people joke about it, but there's truth in that, oh, I'm scared of Karen because, you know, as a joke, but it is very much the truth. And if a man speaks up for what they want and they believe in, everyone listens. Where we are told that we are bossy and just moody.
But Kim, you hold a senior position in the listed space at the moment, and Chief Investment Officer is also a important space. How have you found men,
You're allowed to be
the
true.
job, the board, because some of it is also governed by structural regimens that we don't even realize are sometimes discriminating against us?
Yeah, I think generally it's been good, but it can be quite intimidating at times to be the only female in the room. But I work with a great crowd, and I think when you know your work, then you're taken seriously, no matter what gender you are.
And then last question on this topic is, who have been, and it doesn't have to be a person, it could just be something, but what has been the impediment, that sort of dragon at the gate, you know, the gatekeeper that sometimes keeps one from progressing? In some instances, it's other women, you know, so it doesn't have to necessarily be, it's the man in the office. But what have you found to be those? So on the one hand, I think juggling family life and work life is one of the things that tends to be a limitation just by its nature. What else do you believe are limitations specifically for women?
I personally think it is that. I think that because as a woman's building their career, the biological clock's ticking. So women generally retreat from their career path at that stage, and many women don't want to go back to work or work half day. Working half day, it's going to become difficult to climb up the ladder, to move on in your career. And I think a lot of women prefer the balance of, I work in an industry where there are plenty of women. There's just not a lot of women at management or executive level. And I've seen that across most of the property funds. There are plenty of women, but there are not a lot of women who want to go further.
And doesn't that mean, and Karen is a little bit of an expert on it, but PropTech should perhaps be an opportunity, you know, where previously property required boots on the ground. Now there's PropTech, there's ways to be able to manage your property portfolio slightly differently, which perhaps will allow one the flexibility of being able to have that work-life balance, being able to not travel as much. Do you think that's going to make a difference?
Yeah, I think absolutely. I think especially lockdown and COVID has escalated that quite a bit. But I feel women, self-doubt is a big factor in people not trying something new. You get comfortable in what you know you can do, but then when opportunities come, possibly you might not raise your hand. You look around and then then you won't progress to that like new field that you haven't started in. I ventured into PropTech after Eris. I worked at NDA Property Systems. I had no idea what it was before when I went into the meeting. I actually asked them what they do. But I just wanted to diversify my knowledge, and I'm glad I did, because then I've actually started working a little bit with Quoin Online now, starting new things, and I think PropTech is good. Actually, technology in general is the future in any case.
Yeah. I think technology, whether it's Zoom calls, Teams, it allows you to have those meetings that you wouldn't be able to attend or wouldn't be able to do the trip. Although you have to kind of just tell your child to keep quiet in the background or sit in the car. Wayne and I had a meeting with somebody, online meeting, and he was sitting in the car because the dog was barking and the child was screaming. So it happened to him as well. But yeah, that also makes a huge difference. And I think that with PropTech, it's going to allow us to streamline the processes, and we don't need the boots on the ground the way in which it's been before. And I think the way that space is changing and needs are changing, and you mentioned it the other day, Lara, at the Ureru conference seminar, that it's becoming much more tenant-centric. So that gives us, we are the ones that are more personable. We are the ones that, we focus on those relationships with tenants. And I think that's going to be a huge advantage for women in terms of the relationships and keeping parties at the table.
I saw something this morning saying that, I think, is it connection? Connections are the new cocaine.
Thanks, Rowena.
Okay, it's weird. But I don't think you have anyone, any women are better at relationships, and that's what we bring to the table. So yeah.
I coach a few Black professionals in different spaces, and the one thing that comes through for them often is this, and even when they're quite senior in a space and they've qualified, is this imposter syndrome concern that, am I going to be caught out? Am I going to be seen not to be the right person at that space? And that must be something that is hard when one is the only one who's female in the room, as it is when you're the only Black male in the room. How have you guys found that to be? That's imposter syndrome is a real thing, specifically in the Black management spaces.
That
Do
happens.
women have that same?
Yeah, that happens to me all the time. But I've been very lucky. The company that I work for now, they've given me opportunities to actually work on projects. Where I'm heading something. It's going to be my fault if it doesn't work, and I'm mindful of that. But then I do it, and then I do it again, and I get to do it again, and I do it better next time. So you just need to just get on with it, which is a mentality that men have a lot more than we do.
I definitely agree with you. I've seen young females being kept back by that awareness or mentality. But I've also seen myself break through that with the fact that, once you've done it, continue doing it. And as you convince others of your capabilities, you are also convinced somehow. Even though you were in the beginning, in any case, capable and quite capable. And but also the environment in which we are. And corporates differ, yes, but what I have found is that, and I have to say something about Nedbank.
Something good.
Something good about females, and an initiative that was launched recently called Amari, and it is conversations that women are having with one another at a CIB corporate and investment banking level, where only women, and the kind of stuff that comes out in those conversations, and the power that I felt in that room, from receptionists to executives and whatever. I just felt the power of these people. And I said as much, it's a great opportunity for the bank. It's a great opportunity for women to show how courageous we are, because I bet you win. The most courageous person you know is your mom. So, this is what I believe. We are made for courage, or we are made with courage in our bones, and that's what breaks through. Because it's not an empty courage though. It's a courage that comes from love, and everyone loves something else or someone else, but that courage needs to be seated in the love we also have ourselves, and that's something that came to me in terms of power. That power in that room.
So recognizing your self-worth.
And I think also we are, and going to what you're saying, we allow ourselves to be vulnerable. And the vulnerability, men think vulnerability means weakness, but it doesn't actually, it means courage.
Yeah.
Because it allows you to be honest and be the best version of yourself, in order to have that courage to do the things that you want to achieve. So that kind of networking, a women's property network, that program is so important, because we lift one another up and give each other the confidence to, when you go out there in the boardroom, say, you know what, actually I am good enough. And again, I'll go back to, and I don't want to blow your trumpet here.
I can do that quite well.
I know you do. But in our office environment, we've got quite an equal women, men in terms of numbers. And we try and encourage that as much as possible, not only just because the women are the workers, the men are the bigger picture people. But so we're in a smallish environment, but that balance works really nicely in terms of a dynamic. But when I go into one of the listed funds, into a boardroom to do a presentation, and there are 15 men, and no jokes, there are 15 men, I'm kind of like, Wayne, where are you? Are you by my side? And that gives me the courage then to speak up and to actually be confident enough to speak. So I think that's where, while we are going through the steps of going into leadership roles, we need the men in leadership roles to support us and to introduce us and to have the confidence, so others have the confidence in us.
I believe it also starts at home with fathers building up confidence. My father passed away when I was 30, but I had 30 years of him building my confidence and making me believe that I can do it. And I think, as well as having your male counterparts at work support you, just as Karen mentioned, it also starts at home. So it's as you come out the home, you go to university, you know that you're supported, and men believe in you. I mean, women, we always believe in each other, but I don't think the strength is as much as a man supporting you, welcoming you into the boardroom and listening to what you have to say.